Episode 3. Welcome back to another episode at Consciously Evolving Enterprises. As always, I am your host, Mr. Ryan Dillon Brassington. A quick introduction. Okay, so this is a series of true short stories where we have been exploring the scary paranormal happenings caused by unfortunate domestic events in the family home. These are all freaky stories of survival in a domestic violent haunted home, from the memories of people that with lived experiences and have been kind enough to share their events and stories with us. Some seeking to find a common connection to verify the truth, others tell their truth to find healing, to heal that inner child, and reconcile with a past long avoided, push away and shut down. With true tales they open the door where shadows linger and nightmares, memories, fragmented memories of a former life lived as a child, and the real-life monsters are the parents we are meant to love in that family home. Nicolas Pickles, 1992. It all started in the year of 1992. My mother's stories came from a hatred for my father, so we could debate on the truthfulness or just go with it, as we often did as children. But when our house was invaded by an invisible ghost, I questioned the extent of my father's crimes to bring home such forces. Debate on truthfulness. My mother was known for some wild ones, maybe an extension of truth or total fib just to entertain. I'll have to share some of my mother cons over her children, mostly fun, some to get us out of the house, some to allow some naughtiness for adults and children alike. Some lead to adventures, some leaving me to find my favorite action figure toy all alone for hours on end, for it to suddenly appear in the garden or next to the tree and I'd know it wasn't me because my next door neighbor friend was a kleptomaniac motherfucker, would steal anything not stapled down, locked behind a cabinet or left open in sight. Nothing was safe, and I prized my toy that I still do have. So many times, I'd be in a frantic, anxious search for my toy that just so happened to go missing. Mum always reminded us of a gruesome story. Later the predator took on the identity of my father, and my mother's words from truth or hatred. I'll never know, as I was told, on a day when the summer weather brought forth a dark clouded lightning storm that filled the sky as far as seen. On this afternoon the Whip Pie Man, portable mini-mart van, struggled to do his normal timed routes, and the day grew darker as time passed, and he puttered around with his music playing to let all know he was still coming, if even in the distance he was on his way. After all, he was a highly required and well-regarded routine visitor, delivering all the goodies any local resident would want and need. A luxury in such remote communities, and bringing other under-the-counter luxury items into these remote environments comes with a large danger to the driver and the risk desperate residents expecting relief with the delivery of illegal substance and contraband. Driven by a man with a large scar on his face, a life lived and passed through levels of army units, policing specials tactics, detective work, undercover special unit investigations. That last one was the job that linked him to my father. Well, a group of locally known young men, all having a matching star tattoo on the inner left-hand palm. This guy went undercover into father's groups of mates, the Westies of Shalvai, car lovers, tattoo-wearing, beer-drinking, risk-taking, spoiled children at mid-puberty, experimenting with drugs, fraud checks, car exchange, chop shop, random stealing of goods and property. They unknowingly brought an undercover police officer into the group of close buddies. With youth on his side, this average-looking skinny young bloke blended right in as the new kid on the block. With embrace of brotherhood, they all brought him under their wing, inviting him to come along to all the local parties, events, BBQs and band nights. Bring him out to meet the local babes. The entire town befriended the new guy, and the entire group grew fond of his presence, trusted his attendance as an expected arrival. Over a few months, and before long, the new guy was no longer new and had blended right in with the group of bong-chugging beer lovers that had long bonded with family and friends, and thus this guy became trusted and loved. So as you would, the group openly sharing secrets for the Only Us Club and giving handheld knowledge on forbidden information, such as Billy's mum being our weed dealer and the best mate Shipley tattooing stars on our palms at age 16, sharing mostly innocent stuff, said to be friendly, and an introduction as to who likes who and which person they are interested in, giving a bro a heads up on which dude has his eye on what chickie babe, including what persons to be weary of and what to watch out for, giving bro like tips to look for shady faces with shady eyes. Whose was each group member's mother is importantly emphasized, just to be sure, to never disrespect by mishap or mistake. Important to know where everyone's father worked, because you just might be working there someday, and hard we pray not to. Informing the new guy of the addresses of all our friends if ever you just wanted to pop over for dinner or your mother has ya in strife. Sharing the details of each and everyone's living lives, even pointing out the dangerous prowler's house who would have had you mowing his lawns for cash and a can of Coke. He would have seen you and your family the day you moved in. His house you should not ever approach, or not matter how desperate, go knocking at his door asking help. Totally creepy vibes from that dude. ranging in ages from 12 to 21, 22 being a large mix of 6 or so older brothers and about 4 or 5 younger brothers, church friends that grew up together that become brothers, some and most days spent together doing boys stuff like tinkering on cars. Other nights the older boys went out alone, mostly for ladies to meet up with. Others nights filled with shady business, petty crime, drug deals, and a later escalation into household robberies and home invasions with shotguns and machetes. My father hiding such weapons under my baby blue dressing drawers. Hearing him enter my room, I dare to peek a look with one eye slowly creeping open. My sight comes to focus to see my father stuffing a long rolled blanket under those blue drawers, and with my one eye open, he looks up directly at me. It's too late to close my one eye and pretend I saw nothing. Instead I peer into the darkest of eyes, almost unfamiliar as my father. My heart throbs and beats a frightening thunder. How could my father seem unfamiliar? I look on discombobulated as to whose face I'm looking if not my father. What is going on in my bedroom right now, and gather as to why. Fear has me ask no questions. My sensors tell me of danger and the risk is high. Keep still, make no mistake. Then like a whip snap we make eye contact, pause, staring eye to eyes. My father stares with the blackest eyes, and then the devil's voice emanated with snarled through his teeth. A deathly expression bestowed the words, "Don't you dare fucking touch it," upon my ears. The words leaked out with poisonous toxicity and punishable intent. Whatever he had done that night, I knew then and there it wasn't great. Mum says it was the night my father's and his group of friends seeking out a former friend and got their revenge by following this guy back to where he was staying, waiting on lookout until the early hours of the morning, and they injected heroin as a group bonding preservation and then made their way into the property, sneaking quietly up to the front door, and with one sudden boom they knocked the door in, rushed through the almost empty house to find the guy they called Troy Boy with a light in his face. Troy Boy was forced to the floor with the words stated, "We know you're a copper." Without hesitation one of the masked members of the group held a knife to the man's chin, his sweaty face full of grievance, his eyes full of dismay. The sight of this former brother, pleading in such despair, held no sympathy in the hearts of those betrayed, and that knife held to his chin, cut deep and swift, sliding with ease, raised from chin through cheek, flesh splayed, white membrane split to the cheekbone emerges exposed before a gust of blood paints all it land upon in a rich Reuben red. The blade removed moments before contact with the blubber of the eye. The sight of gushing blood come to shock all looking on. A question went quickly to a statement of "Tafar," and with those words the group was gone, leaving the man to hold his face together. The group rushing out the door, the adrenaline fueled a one-step leap into the getaway car, the engine revving to take off, screeching off down the road, diapering into the darkness, to desperately go stashing the weapons they had just used, anywhere they can now. In a frantic panic, my father chose his child's bedroom, the others guys went for roof cavity, and the shed toolbox, and then buried the toolbox in the backyard 6 foot deep. The getaway vehicle was owned by one of the boys' mothers. It was never reported to be stolen. Never caught, never found, luckily never punished. A story told several times to us by my mother growing up about my father's home invasion on the guy who is now the local ice cream man. The fear I felt knowing it was my father that gave him that wicked facial scar every time went to get ice cream or Mum's cigarettes was knee buckling. So how I thought he knew I was the child of the man that invaded his family home and gave him that scar. So when someone says they fear the ice cream man, don't laugh, because it properly true for reasons unknown, or from stories told just like this one. The sound of the ice cream man's playing its music haunted me. I would run and hit on its approach. If Mum asked me to run up to get him to get her smokes, I would start crying. I thought he wanted to know where I lived and then drag me into the van and cut my face just like my father done to him. My mother sure did make sure we never wanted ice cream from the ice cream van. That's the end of this one. Thank you for listening, reading, sharing. We appreciate you. See you next time at Consciously Evolving Enterprises.